Can you hear me with this mic?
Yes.
You know, I was toying with when to sing. Should it be before the talk or after the talk? But after Monsignor spoke about all the wine, I said I'm going to do it now. Can you open to the center of your programs? The center of your programs. Because we're going to really ask almost for a blessing on the talks that both I and Celeste are going to share with you this evening. And right in the center, do you see on the right lower side, Hail Mary, gentle woman? So we got to take all our hors d'oeuvres out of our mouths. Take a deep breath. And can you sing with me? Gentle woman, quiet light, morning star, so strong and bright, gentle mother, peaceful dove, teach us wisdom, teach us love. Thank you for sharing that prayer, because it's something I hope will become a reality in all of our lives. But I want to share a few words with you this evening. You have to imagine there was a minister, and this minister died very, very suddenly. And all of a sudden he finds himself in line, right there in front of St. Peter, right by the gates of heaven. And he's excited. Wow, I'm here this quick. And all of a sudden the minister notices in front of him this guy. And he's kind of looking at him up and down and up and down. And there's this guy with his baseball cap backwards, with a loud shirt, multicolored, with flashy sunglasses, and then he has jeans and a black leather jacket. But the minister didn't say anything. He just watched as the line went along until it was this man in front of him's turn before St. Peter. And so the guy walked up to St. Peter, kind of strutted, and St. Peter looks at him and says, "Well, hello, my friend. Hi there. May I ask, what is your name, so I can see whether your name is in the list for entrance into heaven?" And the guy looks at him with great joy and says, "I'm Pete DeSimone, and I'm a cab driver, taxi driver for over 30 years in New York City." And St. Peter smiles very gently and says, "Let me check for that name, DeSimone. It's there." And very gently, Peter picks up a silken robe, and then he picks up a golden staff and gives them to Pete and said, "These are yours. Come, enter the doors of heaven." Now the minister is behind, and he's watching all of this. He doesn't even wait for Peter to ask for his name. He stands up tall, he puts his chest out, and he goes, "I am Reverend Joseph Snow, and I have been pastor of a parish for 43 years. Very gently, Peter looks and says, "Snow, let me look. There's your name." Well, of course, the minister was looking like, well, I would expect it to be there. And Peter says, "Please, let me give you your gifts before you enter the gates of heaven." And he reaches down and he picks up a cotton robe. And he reaches down and he picks up a staff made from tree bark. "Please come and enter the joy of the Lord." And Reverend Snow stops, looks eye to eye to Peter and says, "Well, what is this?" And Peter says, "Well, what is the matter?" Now, come on, something is the matter. That taxi cab driver got a silken robe, radiant, beautiful, gold staff. I'm pastor for 43 years, and I get a cotton robe with the bark of a tree to walk with. And St. Peter gently looked at the minister, and he said, "Well, you know what? Up here, meaning heaven, we go by results." And Reverend Snow said, "By results? What does that mean? And very gently, St. Peter said, well, Reverend, when you preached, everyone went to sleep. But when Pete drove, everyone prayed. So we're here this evening. We're here this evening, and we have to listen to the pearls of wisdom. We do, of St. Peter. Because he said, up here, we work by results. And we have to ask ourselves, what are the results? What are the results that God expects from each one of us gathered in this candlelight evening of the season of Advent? What is it God is looking for? What results? And what I want to share with you is it's so simple we miss it, because it's all about love. And when we look at our lives, sometimes we lose sight of the reality that the greatest gift we have in life is life itself. It is life itself. And it is the time that we have and the life that we have here in this chapter of life. And when we look at this, we begin to get a sense of the treasure that we have. And we have to begin to realize, well, if the greatest gift we have is life, and the time we have in this chapter of life, what's next? Well, the greatest use of our life and our time is all about relationships. If you want to ask God, what is the meaning of my life? It's all about relationships. Because relationships are all about love. All about love. And our lives are all about love. And you might say, hey, sister from Chicago who had half a glass of wine before coming up here, you know, how do you know this? How do you know this? Because John tells us, St. John says, God is love. And anybody who grew up in the 60s, or I'm the only old person in the room, when we did our little kumbayas, we sang that song. They'll know we are Christians by our love. You've got it. What is Jesus asking us this evening? Why is the power of the Spirit of Jesus drawn all of us here this evening to carve out our time, our most precious gift? Because once given, guess what? You can't get it back. You can't get it back. So your choices are so important. And what our question is this evening is Jesus waiting for us? Is he waiting for us? Is he waiting for a homecoming? Is he waiting for us to rediscover the why of our life? Who we are and why we're here and why we are women and what gift did God empower us with to make, shape the world. And some questions to think about, because I'm a bold nun. I should have eaten before I spoke. Nobody's going to share anything with me. But let me share. Have we lost sight of what our lives are all about? And it is so easy to do. Are our lives so cluttered with Christmas rush? So cluttered with stress? So wound up that we feel like we're running in circles. And when we stop, we say, oh my God, I'm accomplishing nothing. And what we do is we fail to ask ourselves, why? Why do we choose to go at this speed in our lives? Where are we expecting to arrive? Where? Jesus asks us, hey, if life is about love and love is about relationships, what are our quality, presence, and relationship with others? Whoa. I don't mean tweeting me. I don't mean texting me. I don't mean reading about you among my 652,000 Facebook friends. I am talking about what is the quality of our presence, our lives, and the lives of our spouses, in the lives of our kids, in the lives of our grandchildren, in the lives of those we work with, in the lives of those that we keep a distance from, in the lives of those who are strangers, that God makes these divine appointments to encounter us. Have we gotten to a point in our lives that our to-do list and getting it done has become a priority in our life? A priority to the point that, guess what? We don't see people anymore. The quality of who we are is diminished because we're racing to get everything done. Piercing question. Hey, is God a part of our lives? Is he? Santa Maria, no es posible. Is God a part of your life? Or is a God the heart of who we are? And that's the piercing question. Do I have to squeeze God into my life? Oy, I hear, this is the sports of America, our neighborhoods over here. And I don't know if I can get to Mass, because Tommy's got football, and Susie's got swimming, and Johnny, he's on the basketball court, and then we go on and on. Don't we grapple with balancing our schedules? Do we squeeze God in, or is God the heart of who we are, and everything else goes around him? What value choices do we make? Jesus is inviting every single one of us this evening with a special invitation, because he's gifting every single one of us with the fruit and the virtue of gentleness. And you know what? In our American society, gentleness is a dying virtue. You know what's a growing virtue, in quotes? Entitlement. Talk to your kids at Christmas, especially, I was 26 years a high school principal. Must I say more? iPhone 7's out. I am entitled. Gentleness. This is God's gift to us this Advent season, gentleness. And we need to know what gentleness is, because to truly be gentle, we have to be women who are strong. Because no one can be gentle unless they are a strong person. And you might say, sister, why? Why? Because gentleness gives us with the power and the grace to restrain our strength by love. And in our world, aren't there too many powers and strengths that we have that are unleashed, out of control? Read the statistics on road rage. Read the statistics of parents at a game who just, what? Let it all hang out. Again, in order to truly be gentle, we must be strong. Because if we count on this God of ours of love, that love enables us to restrain our strength. And what causes us to set parameters on our strengths? Love. Why? It's the reason we breathe. It's the reason we're here. It's the very invitation to life. You are life bearers, and you are life bearers every day of your life. Every day. Gentleness can restrain our often unleashed strength when it comes to anxiety, stress, worries. When those are not restrained and in a balance, what happens to our life? When we have anger, hurt, loss, not in the midst of the virtue and fruit of gentleness, it paralyzes us. It changes us. We become someone that we are not. We can never forget the gift that we have, the gift from the cross. From a Jesus who loves us, as John of the Cross says, more than we could ever desire to love him. He gave us the gift of his mother. In Advent, this is our companion. This is our model. And you sang it. Gentle mother, peaceful dove, teach us wisdom, teach us love. Gentle woman, quiet light, morning star, so strong and bright. That is where we want to be. And very quickly, in the time that I have left, because I'm conscious of the time, not just I want to get back to my wine, but this is also important. We can see the images of Mary in the wisdom of the church for the 4 Sundays of Advent. So whether you, and don't worry, I'm not going to ask you what the gospel was about last Sunday, first Sunday of Advent. Okay, I'm going to tell you. The theme is stay awake. Stay awake. What's your purpose? To love. What's your purpose? To see. What's your purpose? A quality of presence that makes a difference. Because anything you possess, anything you have, and anything you own has no value unless it is shared with another. And that's the reality of love. Look at Mary. And you know, sometimes we have this romantic image of Mary. We hold her on the high pedestal. Get in her shoes. Imagine the fear with the angel coming to her. Imagine leaving the room to tell her parents she's pregnant. Imagine the town, and you know a town, huh? Don't we know towns? That will go through the town very quickly. Mary's pregnant. Who's the husband? She doesn't have one. If Mary were not a gentle woman, she could have unleashed her fear on Gabriel and said, "No way, Jose." If she allowed anger to rise in her when she realized that angel disappeared, I'm standing here alone. I have to turn to my mother and father, who definitely know sex 101, that I am with child without a man. Where did her strength come from? Love. Where did her thoughts go to? Not herself, but to help her cousin Elizabeth. From her, stay awake. Mary knew her old cousin was with child. Wedding at Cana. Stay alert. Stay awake. What's the quality of presence at that wedding reception? Nobody grabs a hold of Mary and says, "Oh my God, they don't have wine. Santa Maria, let's go home," you know? No, she saw they had no wine. She goes to Jesus. She could have had unrestrained power as a mother over her son, couldn't she? And said, "Come over here, Jesus, my little son of God. They don't have wine. Would you get to this right away?" With her hands over her chest. Do you know what Mary did? Very gently, "Jesus, they have no wine." No other word recorded in Scripture, except she turns to the servants and says, "Do whatever he tells you." Where did that power come from? Where did it come from? Second Sunday. And yeah, that's anticipation. That's this coming Sunday. You're going to hear about John the Baptist. And John the Baptist is going to say, "Prepare the way of the Lord." And what does that mean for us? Unclutter our lives. Do a homecoming. Know who we are. Know how we're loved. Know what we're called to. Do you remember that scene where Jesus was talking to many, many people? And this woman breaks through the crowd and says, "Jesus, Jesus, your mother's here. Your family's here. Make way." And what does Jesus say? Anyone who hears and does The will of my Father is my mother and my brother and my sister. Now, you be a Jewish mother at that point and hear that words. What restrained? Because she was so focused. Her life was uncluttered. And she recognized the honor Jesus gifted her with. Third Sunday. Oh, you're going to hear from Isaiah. Old Testament prophet Isaiah. And that's the point where they light the pink candle, right? And the only priest daring enough to still wear the pink vestments. And I love that. It is a time of joy. It's a time of expectation. It's a time that raises a consciousness for all of us to recognize, whoa, what is my attitude when I wake up every day? Do I wake up with an attitude of joy and expectation? Do I say, God, it's morning? Or do I say, oh my God? Hit the snooze. It's morning. What's our attitude? And if you remember last year, those who were here last year, remember my key words? Ecce, fiat, magnificat. In the midst of Mary's struggles, trials, challenges, she could still sing and live an attitude of joy and praise. Fourth Sunday, we're going to recognize very, very much that Mary is with child. And we're going to hear in that Sunday reading, the birth is coming of Emmanuel, God with us. If there's anything you remember from this talk this evening, remember this fourth Sunday. Emmanuel, God is with us. In September of 2016, Elizabeth of the Trinity, Discalced young Carmelite nun, told every single one of us tonight, this evening, oh, that I might be another incarnation of the Word. And what that literally means, and we don't like to own it because it's life-changing. Every single one of us is a new incarnation of the Word. Every one of us is called to transformation. Everyone is called to be the face of Christ, to be Christ in the lives of others. Every single day is an incarnation of the world. Every single day. He yearns to be born in us, through us, with a quality of presence in the lives of others for them. Not that I want this to happen, but imagine if all of us died here tonight. You know, she's such a positive nun, this Danielle. I'm just going to ask you, you're bringing nothing with you. I hope there's some hors d'oeuvres left before I go, but you're bringing nothing with you. So when you face the Lord, what treasures do you have within you? Have you gifted Jesus? Because it's your choice. You have the power to lock him out. Or you have the power to usher him in. Will you dare to become a vehicle, as Mary, an incarnation of the living Word of God yourself, to your children, your husbands, and wherever it is in whoever's life you touch? Geez, I got like 3 minutes, but I'm going to go through this quickly because I want to end with something a little lighter. And it is this. There was this guy, and he's walking by a pet shop. And he looks in the window, and there are absolutely gorgeous exotic fish. And he was drawn in. He's talking to the pet owner, and the pet owner is talking about them and the care they need, etc., etc. And all of a sudden, what happens is the guy said, well, you know, I'm going to purchase those fish. Can you hold them for me? He said, I certainly can, but sir, I hope you recognize these are exotic fish. They need a special fish tank. The water has to be a particular temperature. Oxygenation level for the fish has to be balanced for them to grow and thrive. And the gentleman said, oh, I've had exotic fish a number of years ago. I'm aware of that. I don't need to purchase a tank. I have one. So the guy goes home, and very quickly he goes to the garage. He's digging through boxes. He finds the tank. He cleans it until it's sparkling, pristine clean, sets it up, fills it with water, sets the temperature, sets the oxygenation level, goes back to the pet store, buys the fish, puts them in, and they look happy, happy, happy little fish. They're enjoying themselves. And the next morning when the guy got up, they were dead. He went back to the pet owner and he said, "What kind of exotic fish did you give me?" They all died. And the pet owner was stunned, and he said, "Well, sir, could you explain to me what you did?" And as he said, "I scrubbed and scrubbed the tank." Well, what did you use? And the chemical agents and soaps that he used, thinking it would be a beautiful, pristine environment, were lethal to the fish. And you might say, "Sister, what the heck does that have to do with anything?" Nothing. Oh, excuse me. So what we have here, and I want you to listen closely, sometimes don't we, with good intention, not move out of gentleness, but we have the powers within us to lord over others. Where sometimes in the lives of others, we may be using killer soaps to clean up our own lives, the lives of our children, spouses, others at work, and wherever. Some of those toxic soaps: nagging, criticism, self-righteousness, condescending attitude, harshness, coldness, indifference. Jesus said, "A bruised reed I will not break." There are bruised reeds that God invites us to encounter. And with the quality of your presence, remember that hurtful people are often hurting people. And the bruised reed might be the one who's discouraged or grieving or angry, embarrassed, worried, longing, hungering, lost within themselves, emptied, battered and bruised by life experiences. And it is there, may you remember and recall Mary's invitation and the invitation of her son. Be a gentle light in the darkness. Be a morning star of hope in the darkest of nights in the lives of others. Be an anchor of peace, a font of wisdom, but most of all, be the face of love. God bless you.